Someone asks you that why did Jesus have to die? Couldn't God just forgive sins without cross?
Well, that's a mystery, isn't it? Why couldn't God just forgive? But the New Testament gives us the explanation, and that is that we've all messed up. I've messed up. I'm what the New Testament call a sinner. I do things wrong. I fail. I make mistakes, and uh, God is a God of justice as well as a God of love. And we all want there to be justice in the world. When we see things that are unjust, we don't like it. We feel there ought to be a judgment. And it's natural to human beings to feel that justice is important. And justice is an important characteristic of God. But he's also a God of love. And how do you combine both justice and love? And the New Testament answer is that they are combined on the cross. That's why Jesus died. So, an analogy I sometimes use, because I used to be a barrister, a lawyer, and I use this illustration. This is not this is not a true story because it wouldn't work like this in reality. But it's a story. It's a parable. So there are two friends who are at school together. They're at university together. They're great friends. One of them becomes a lawyer and he goes off and he becomes a judge. The other one goes off the rails. He gets into crime. And one day he appears before his old friend, the judge, and he's committed offences to which he pleads guilty. Now, the judge could say, in answer to the question you were asked, oh, forget, I love you. There's no penalty for what you've done. You're free to go. And we'd say that is not justice. So what he in fact does is he fines him. Let's say that the correct penalty for the offense, let's say $100,000 US dollars is the correct penalty for the offense. That's justice. But then he steps down from his position as judge because he loves his friend, and he goes to see him and he writes out a check for $100,000 and he pays the fine himself because he loves him. Now that's what God has done. We are guilty. The wages of sin, the New Testament tells us, is death. We deserve to die because of our sin, my sin. I deserve to die. But Jesus paid the penalty himself. He came down from his position as judge, if you like, and came, and as our friend, he gave his life for us. He died on the cross. St. Paul wrote, the Son of God loved me and gave himself for me. In other words, if you had been the only person in the world, if one of your listeners right now, viewers, if you had been the only person in the world, Jesus would have died for you. That's how much God loves you. St. Paul writes, the Son of God loved me and gave himself for me. That's the reason Jesus had to die, in order that justice and love could be combined on the cross.